Hello and welcome back to part 2 of my journey into DCS, and this is the continuation from part 1 where we actually have an instructor dog in the back of this MB339. Hope you find this as useful as it was for me as a new flyer, and we will be progressing onto bigger, better and more complicated things further into the series. Thanks for watching, subscribing, liking and sharing. Bye bye.
Just to the left of that for you, you have angle of attack and acceleration under G and G units. Acceleration is G-force, it's how hard you're pushing the jet. We're about 1 at the moment. 2, 4, 6 positive up way, and then negative G is down the way.
And the red lines?
Red lines don't be... red lines, as anything that's red is a warning in jets. So beyond 5Gs, there are certain configurations where you damage the aircraft. For example, if you've got lots of stuff on the wings.
Right.
Beyond 8Gs, you will absolutely murder the aircraft.
8Gs, good God.
8Gs is a lot for an aircraft of this kind of frame. F-16s can take 9Gs and there are stories of certain aircraft taking up to 12 instantaneous but not sustained.
Right.
Most fighter pilots cannot sustain more than 9 or 10 Gs for prolonged periods of times, and that is through a lot of very clever stuff, technology, and lots of training. So, just to the left of that is a clock, time in seconds and minutes. There is sometimes a timer on these things for you to use, which you can't use for navigation the old-fashioned way if you prefer. And then you have your speed brake, flaps, and trim indicators just above and below the clock.
Yep.
Fairly straightforward there. Any instruments that I haven't explained or that you're not so sure about?
Well, the one below that, the master arm, is well, I've been using that once you've set the smoke arm on, bottom left to my left panel.
Basically, so anything that's an explosive of any description, master arm controls.
Yes,
is the final. It's the safety switch.
So I've got that bit down. There are some switches that are below the stick, which I presume are not modelled or working.
You presume correctly. These are to do with controlling TACAN, which is radio navigation.
Yeah, and fuel dump, is that the same? Down near the throttle?
Precisely so. Precisely so.
I mean, there's loads of switches as well on the left. I presume don't work.
Yeah, if you highlight it with your mouse or your or whatever you've got for your pointing device, and it doesn't change from yellow to green, you can't touch it.
Yeah, I mean, on the left, all the channel 18
radios
and all
stuff
that.
Like that. Yeah, that's your radio stack. Once again, not modelled as part of the aircraft at this time.
And the right side will be the same.
Yeah. Yep. A lot of that stuff isn't modelled. You'll be able to adjust lights, for example. That's fine.
Yep.
You'll be able to mess with you can actually mess with the GPS navigation system, which is hilarious. But it's not something we really use, considering you can't sync it up to the HSI or anything at the moment. So.
Right.
It's just window dressing for you at the moment.
Yeah.
Angle of attack. So, angle of attack is a fun concept. There's units between 0 and 1 on the indicator. The line that's at the 3 o'clock position, you want to have the needle at the 3 o'clock position during landing.
I've tried that. It feels like I'm gonna hit the runway. Maybe I'm coming in too fast.
No, I promise you, you're not. That's the whole point of the angle of attack system, is that you are on speed. It looks like a very steep approach, but you need to bear in mind, especially if you look externally, the entire canopy is pointed down.
Right. Okay.
So you'll notice. So although it looks like a steep approach, it's not as bad as it looks.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you right now, it looks far worse as the instructor pilot because I'm higher and steeper than you.
Okay.
But it's done that way deliberately, so I can see over the top of you. I can see the runway, and I don't have the seat in the way of you, for example.
Yeah. Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Okay. If you're able to, go ahead and read me your fuel state.
Fuel is at... Oh, hang on, that's fuel burn.
Yep, just to the right of that, you'll see fuel. It'll be a gauge, but it'll have a digital readout for you as well.
780.
That's fine, we're good. Let's get a landing done then. So, if you look over to your left wing, about 9 o'clock-ish, you'll see an airfield. That is Cobalete Airfield. We are going to land on runway 25, but before we do that, we're actually going to follow the pattern. In your own time, I'm going to ask you to descend down to 2,000 feet, and I'm going to ask you to fly so that you're going to be flying just overhead the airfield,
Oh, overhead, not to the right.
No, overhead there. Well, I want it on your left wing slightly, basically.
Yeah, okay.
But I always do a left-hand traffic pattern. A right-hand traffic pattern, by the way, is not an incorrect method. It's just I always teach it left. Now, you may find as you descend, you'll notice that the aircraft speed builds. So if you need to control that, you can use the throttle to do so. And obviously your air brakes as well if you really need to do so.
Yeah. Do you need me to tell you when it's on for that sinking?
Not at this stage.
Or can you hear it? It's actually on now. I'm trying to.
I appreciate you telling me. I do appreciate you telling me because it's obviously good for me just to know when it's in and when it's not. Just be mindful, like I said, you changing the switches doesn't indicate it for me.
Right.
So,
okay.
For example, if we get you configured for landing, and I might call out to you at some point in time, like, do you have your speed brakes in, or do you have your flaps set properly? I'm not asking you to check the gauges yourself because I can't confirm that myself. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what I've just now is I've put the air brake on and I've just put. I've pulled back on the throttle to 70.
Yep. Okay, that's fine.
I was going to put flaps to 1, but is that going to damage them?
Yeah, we want to wait until we're kind of established. So let's continue the descent. We're going to wait until we're at 2,000 feet. And if we had an ATC and they weren't screaming at us already, we would be telling Cobaliti traffic, hey, Cobaliti traffic, Demon Actual, inbound from the northeast, finals to land.
Demon Actual. Yeah, okay.
Correction, runway 25.
Air brakes back up.
Air brakes back in, cool. We're going to level off at 2,000 feet because this is now the traffic pattern. Now there are 4 general places that you're going to put yourself on the traffic pattern. You have upwind, which is where we're at the moment. And you're going to notice a pair of bridges just off our left 11 o'clock there.
Yep.
We're going to use that as the turning point for our first left turn, and that's what we call the crosswind because we're going from the upwind to the next one, which is the downwind. So we cross the winds, crosswind. That's how I remember it anyway. So in your own time, a left turn, 90 degrees. We're looking to try and maintain the 2,000 feet, so you might have to put a bit of aft pressure on the stick just to maintain that. Nice. Okay, and rolling wings level.
Oh, you want to? I thought it was a left turn there.
You're gonna. Yep, it was just 90 degrees I wanted, so we're now on the crosswind. That's fine. I want to give us a bit of space. The next left turn we're going to make very shortly, just as we cross this thicket of forests just in front of us.
Yep.
That's going to be another left turn of about 90 degrees again. That's going to be us on the downwind. So left turn now. And if you look out into the left there, you see that we can roll wings level, and that's us lined up more or less with Cobaliti on the downwind. This is where we start slowing the aircraft down, so bring the aircraft power back again. Try not to put it below 60% because the throttle response down there is really slow. Use the air brakes if you need to. Get the aircraft down to about 180 knots. We're going to start getting the gear out and getting the flaps out. We do need to wait until 200 knots though.
Well, I've got air brake on.
Get the air brake on under 200 knots, so gear out.
Gear out.
And you'll feel the aircraft pitching down. This is because you've now put all this air stuff, all this junk on the bottom of the aircraft.
Increase the RPM a bit to keep up.
Yep, you will need to compensate for it. Remember, you can pull your brakes in as well. And then flaps to full.
Flaps.
And the aircraft's going to feel very different. Yeah. Full position, please.
Yeah, full.
And that's fine. Now we're not quite 90 degrees, so go ahead and turn left about 10 degrees, 10-20 degrees or so. Correction, right, my mistake. Because otherwise we're going to end up giving ourselves too close an angle for us to turn. And go ahead and trim the aircraft, get yourself to a point where you're comfortable. You're not wanting to fight the jet.
I'm just trimming it.
Yep, that's fine. That's totally okay.
There we go.
We're trimmed for level flight, and you'll notice there's a small ticker about the 4 o'clock position on the angle of attack meter, which is more or less which is level flight when you're configured for landing. Right, we're going to turn the left. Now I want you to continue this left turn through base all the way to final. So one smooth left turn all the way around. And this is the point where I no longer require you to hold 2,000 feet. You can start beginning your descent if you want to. I'm giving you a much lower, much later descent than what I've seen from your own videos. You're going to see it looks much flatter at the moment.
It does, yeah.
So distance is good. Okay.
I'm off angle here.
That's fine. Just level off straight and wait until the angle comes to you.
I think that's the problem I have on a lot of them. I don't take a big enough arc out, you know, like this. And I end up coming on the runway too.
You've got the airspace.
Yeah, too high.
You've got the airspace, so use it.
Oh, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one.
Yep.
It's the one on the right.
Yeah, it's the big wide one. You land on the taxiway, then people are going to call you Harrison Ford.
Right, airspeed's at 150.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. Try not to let it fall below 130, but 150 to 130 is fine. Start using the throttle and try to avoid using the speed brakes. If they're out, get them back in. And aim for the bottom of the runway, the very threshold, right where the what I call the piano keys, the stripes in front of the number.
Airspeed's 140.
Brilliant.
Angle of attack is nearly there.
Yeah, you're looking good.
That's what I mean. This feels very, very sharp angle to me.
It's going to, but when you flare at the bottom of it, keep going. Continue. As we cross the threshold, continue. Okay, and we're now going to cut the throttle completely and gently pull aft on the stick. Harder, pull hard. And there we go. Gently allow it down. Try and get the back wheels down first. There you go.
Air brake on.
Never mind the air brake. You're not in the air.
Oh, I thought that was just to slow you down. Right, okay. Yeah, I've got the... and then when I get it below, is it 50, I can put the wheel steering on.
Yep. If you want to slow down even further, now pull hard on the back, hard on the aft stick. Let the elevators slow you down. They are much more effective than the air brake, and you don't have to worry about potentially smacking the air brake off the ground. There you go.
We're down.
We are.
A bit rough.
No, that's okay. It's
that panic of feeling like I'm going to dive bomb straight into the runway. So I think I pull back a little bit, you know.
Yeah,
to compensate for it. Well, of course you do. You just see me do it.
It's absolutely. This is partly why I'm going to make sure every one of the flights that we do in the 339 starts with a takeoff and ends with a landing, because you need to be comfortable with landing.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's interesting, isn't it, that I'm concentrating more out there and I should be looking at the instruments more.
No, you've got it right.
Over?
Yes, you want to be looking outside. Okay.
Oh, I was concentrating on the angle of attack, I think, too much.
Don't focus it's at its location so that you do have the ability to quickly glance at it.
Yeah.
But always remember that the instruments are there to guide you, but you do need to be able to see. That's why you still get a canopy. Okay, so there's so many people in this habit of constantly looking at the instruments, never mind what's going on outside you.
Mm-hmm.
If you're flying a visual aircraft, fly it visually. Look outside. It's one of my favourite lectures I've ever given. I ever give students and friends that are getting used to this. When they get something like the F-18, I'll ask them to list all the ways they can detect the bandit. Oh, we got the radar. Yeah, okay. What else can we use? We got the radar warning receiver. Brilliant. What else have we got? We got the data link. Fantastic. Oh, we got the radio. Brilliant.
Got your eyeballs.
Fantastic. What about the AWACS? Yeah, brilliant. Great stuff. What else? Look outside the window. Use your eyes. So many people forget that one.
Sorry, have you just sent me something? There's an envelope popped up on my view.
I haven't, but it's probably an alert saying, "Hey, there's new information." It's the chat log. The chat log now says that you landed at
piss poor landing.
22:09. It's just an alert from the chat. That's all. So what we'll do is, unfortunately, these hangar doors don't open for us. So what we'll do is we'll just park in front of the hangar on your right hand there.
Yeah. Okay.
And then once you're started, once you've basically put the nose as close to the door as you dare, just haul on the parking brake, and then we can shut the aircraft down. And then you go, turn right. There you go, brilliant. Parking brake on.
Where are we? Parking brake is that one. Parking brake on.
Brilliant. Now, throttle to the idle position and flaps to up.
Flaps up.
And leave the aircraft how we found it and all that.
I'm going to have to say it. Engine stop. Stop engine.
Engine
there we
stopping.
Go.
Yep, there we go. And then Control C for canopy, or you can click the button if you prefer that.
Set canopy. Oh, would you look at that? Just like magic.
There we go.
Canopy's open.
Voice attack's really awesome for that sort of stuff.
When it works.
Yeah. And one thing I really love about the 339 is when you pull the canopy open, the handholds pop out the side on the left. That's really cool.
Battery off, generators off,
yep.
Beacon light off, anti-skid off, jet off, master off.
Yep, and
sweet.
There you go. You shut the aircraft down. Brilliant.
Nice one.
How did that go?
I loved it. Do you know what? When we first got in on the runway and you were ready to take off, I actually got a little bit of nervousness came through.
Good. You should be nervous.
Like, whoa!
I'm judging you the whole time.
It's different when you know somebody's like literally sat behind you watching you. I'm like, oh my god, am I going to remember all the keys in VR?
It's one of the reasons why I'm a big fan of doing multiplayer and flight. I'd never fly single player. I haven't flown single player flights for a long time. Even if I'm learning an aircraft all by myself and nobody's on the server, I'll still log into a server just in case somebody pops on and says hi. I never fly single player ever. No.
I did wonder if it's better as a learning tool to learn, on a flat screen rather than VR, because you've got the extra complication of buttons. But I have found
it's not better or worse. It's different.
Well, I was going to say, even though my landing is terrible, 9 out of 10 times I can actually land it in VR. But when I'm doing it on a flat screen, I always pile it straight into the runway, or
depth perception. You lose depth perception with 2D.
But there is a layer of complexity on top of the VR as well, but it's the ability, like you said, when the runway's over to 10 o'clock, I literally just looked over my shoulder.
Yeah, it's much more instinctive. I mean, I'm okay with it because I've been using TrackIR for a long. Game plan's going to be, we're going to get you 5 lessons in the 339, and by the end of those 5 lessons, you will have the ability at a basic level to land, take off, talk on the radio to ATC. And basically, we'll do touch and goes. We'll be doing formation flights, and we'll be getting you to do things like stalls, spin recovery, that kind of thing as well on the 3rd lesson. The 2nd lesson is going to be a little bit more practice on the pattern. So rather than just doing one lap round, we'll talk you through entering the pattern, exiting the pattern, going through the landing phases like we just did. You'll do a few touch and goes, so you'll land, you'll immediately put throttle up and start turning it into a takeoff, so you can get a few bits of a few practice landings under you.
Yep.
And during that time, I'll also be expecting you to talk on the radio to other pilots in the area, for example me, about what's going on.